We're now halfway through the NBA playoffs. We've experienced countless changes in the NBA space over the course of the postseason, including the shift in a new generation and influences from players that you likely didn't expect to be as impactful that have changed the tides of series that could have been won. In this video, I would like to highlight some of the most impressive players in my opinion this postseason based off either expectations, impact, or a discrepancy in their regular season and postseason play. It'll be a mixture of some star players and a mixture of role players who honestly surprised me in some way. Starting off with a star, I have Kyrie Irving. The reason I've been so impressed with him in this year's playoffs has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that he has been shooting lights out from the field. It also has nothing to do with the fact that his scoring has been a non-factor in the first half and then he completely dominates the second half. What I've most been impressed about is his defense throughout both the Clippers and Thunder series. He's been excellent when it comes to playing in the gaps to force turnovers, has been quick to rotate and provide good contests on threes, and he's even held his own when guarding bigger players, forcing them to take difficult shots. Along with his defense, he's provided valuable secondary playmaking when a shot isn't falling. To say that he's been the Mavericks' most valuable player, at least in their first series against the Clippers, isn't a take that I would be inclined to disagree with, and that's not a slight to Luka. It's a testament to how great Kyrie has been this year's playoffs. Next, I have his own teammate PJ Washington. Not only has he exceeded my expectations, but this is the first postseason of his career. For the Mavericks in the regular season, he was one of the main reasons for their major defensive growth post-deadline. He's switchable and he can hold his own with guards, and he's just another big body that the Mavericks needed at the forward spot. While this was great and all, the three ball was just not falling. In his 29 games he played with them, he shot 31% from three on nearly 6 attempts, and as a spot-up shooter, that just isn't good to supplement this offense that revolves around Luka and Kyrie pulling in defenses and kicking it out to shooters. Even in the first round against the Clippers, he shot 31% on 5 attempts. However, this all changed in the second round against the Thunder, where he averaged 18 points per game and shot nearly 47% from 3 on 8 attempts a game. All series, the Thunder's defensive schemes have been to force the Mavericks role players to beat them, sending blitzes over and over at Luka and Kyrie, and it has just not worked. Almost every game he's made them pay from 3, outside of Game 6, and he's truly fitting that 3-and-D archetype, at least in this series. Who knows how it'll be in the next one. But this shooting has been very important for the Mavericks to make it to the conference finals. Chet Holmgren is a rookie. A rookie. Depending on your perspective of whether you see him as a rookie or not, it really doesn't matter considering it's his first playoffs anyways. He of course is still having trouble when it comes to the physicality of other bigs and rebounding. You see in Game 6 he only had 3 rebounds. But his rim protection is unlike what you typically see from a first or second year player. The weak side help defense, his patience leading players going downhill to the rim in order to get up a good contest, and his ability to laterally stick with quicker players have all been evident throughout the Thunder's playoff run. Anthony Edwards is another star I've been extremely impressed with in this year's playoffs. Clean in between game, uses his strength wisely to push past players to the basket, and the 3-ball has been relatively consistent. On defense, he slides his feet well, can play aggressively without fouling, and especially in this Nuggets series, has this man Jamal Murray scored while guarded by him? He probably has, but it feels like Ant suffocates him defensively whenever I see him on him, and I believe this has been a factor that has largely influenced the course of this series due to what Murray can bring on the offensive side of the ball, so being able to limit him to this extent I think has been extremely valuable for the Timberwolves. From going from sweeping the Suns with Devin Booker and KD to now taking down the Nuggets with Jokic, he's making it known that he's here, and this year's playoffs have been very eye-opening to the player that he is and could be going forward. Aaron Gordon for this Nuggets team is their Swiss Army knife and has been a top 3 most important Nuggets player in this year's playoffs. In order, I'd go Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and then Aaron Gordon. What he's able to provide on both sides of the ball has been crucial in this Nuggets success, especially for their comeback down 2-0 against the Timberwolves. From an offensive perspective, the portability to bring the ball up the court to take the pressure off Jamal Murray, and the creeping up into the dunker spot to catch lobs from Jokic. He's capable of posting up and getting to the rim, and he's provided some secondary playmaking when the game demands him to. On defense, he's switchable. He's a stocky defender capable of defending the post, which is imperative when guarding a team filled with 7-footers, even with players like Karl-Anthony Towns and Naz Reid, who often put the ball on the floor to create in space. Paolo Banchero is another guy I've been very impressed with, even though the Magic were taken out in the first round. The reason I feel this way is due to all he's had to deal with in this series against the Magic, the lack of spacing on this team, and the offensive responsibilities he was tasked with every night, especially since he's basically been the Magic's main ball handler. I know they had Jalen Suggs play point guard, but he's kind of been a stand-in point guard. I think he fits at the 2 much better, at least at this point. But to get back on topic, there's the lack of shooting on the roster, and as their first option, a lot of the shots he has to create in traffic, as the Cavaliers sent multiple bodies on him once he put the ball down inside the 3-point line. Now, it's not as if he was perfect. He had some turnover problems, and I personally would like to see him use his large frame to get to the basket more rather than settling for jumpers, but I really like how he handled with the first playoff series of his career. 27, 8 and 4 on 45-40 splits for a 21-year-old. There's not much you can really ask for. Evan Mobley is another young player that made an impression on me. It's undeniable what he can do as a defensive player. 3rd place in DPOY voting in 2023, while being the 2nd youngest player in NBA history to make an all defensive first team. What was questionable was his offensive growth since his rookie season, and I think in their series against the Celtics, it was made very clear how to play to his strengths offensively. In the post, he struggles with backing down forwards due to not having a low center of gravity, so he easily gets pushed out of his spots, and it doesn't help that he doesn't have a good post repertoire. What I could see though is that he was much better suited when it came to catching the ball face to the basket, and this was better highlighted in his series against the Celtics. Catching the ball at the free throw line allowed for him to make a lot of decisions, whether it was DHO into a screen and roll or sending a pocket pass to a cutting guard. He can also use this space to beat bigs off the dribble, and this allows him to avoid contact more often versus Mobley just receiving the ball in the post and being forced to use a smaller frame to back down bigger bodies. This, with him increasing his 3-point volume, could make him a much more scary player going into the next season. Chris Middleton going into this year's playoffs was expected to help carry the offensive load of Giannis out, but it got even worse when Dame injured his Achilles, forcing Chris to be burdened with a lot of decisions. I myself personally believe that despite his injury history and him not looking the same as we had seen in 2021, that he still had it in him. But for him to be as good as he was, that I did not expect. He was good in the regular season, 15 points per game on 49-38 splits, and in the playoffs he averaged 25 points and 10 rebounds on 48-35 splits, 42 points in game 3, and even though it was in a loss, he hit multiple big shots down the stretch. A deep 3 to send it to overtime, and another clutch 3 in overtime to tie the game before Tyrese Halliburton's and one floater to win the game. I did hear some talks about him getting traded before this series due to his health, so maybe this series has dispelled some of those opinions. TJ McConnell. He's often the smallest on the court, but he's a competitor. He fights and fights each and every night, and that effort and tenacity has made him one of the Pacers' most important players in this year's playoffs. When he's guarded Jalen Brunson, I think he's done pretty well in making it as difficult as he could. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a great player, so regardless, he's going to get his, but McConnell definitely has his moments where he stops Brunson from getting to his spots, and he's doing whatever he can to make Brunson as uncomfortable as possible. Offensively, he initiates well regardless of whether it's in the half court or just finding someone in transition, and providing this type of two-way impact for a below average defensive team is really just a large plus for someone who comes off the bench. And finally, I want to talk about a specific group of players who have not only stepped up in their roles, but also been very successful in doing so. And those players are Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Miles McBride, and Isaiah Hartenstein. As a team battling through injury after injury, they've provided incomprehensible support to keep this team standing. Dante DiVincenzo has had to take on more ball handling responsibility and has been a high volume 3-point shooter, even hitting pivotal shots to help them make it out of the Sixers series. Josh Hart has been the ultimate competitor, willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win, playing every minute of each game consistently. He's out rebounding bigs, plays good defense, is an elite coast-to-coast player, and even though his shot wasn't falling against the Pacers, against the Sixers they often dared him to shoot and he made them pay, hitting shots down the stretch to change the outcome of the series. Miles McBride was also one of the reasons they've been one of the best defensive teams from a point of attack standpoint. And lastly, Isaiah Hartenstein has been the perfect DHO partner for Jalen Brunson, was very good on the offensive glass, and provided very good rim protection. He's a free agent this offseason, and I believe that the regular season and postseason are going to get someone to throw a bag at him, and he deserves it. He's a very great player. With all that being said, these are the guys that impressed me the most so far. Obviously, there are some players who you may think I'm missing, and perhaps it's due to our difference in expectations or how we perceive their impact. If you have anyone you think could be added to the list, let me know down below. Leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.